I hate to interrupt.
I'm done.
There we go. Oh, I didn't see it. Thank you. Time-wise, you may want to reset the clock. We did start at 9, about 9:15, 9:20. At the end of the day, we did build some time in. So I know we have another group going, we need the last 3 or 4 years in our area. Now, not only is it horrible that it happened, and because they were correction officers, that's what the public does see in the front page. Trials that go on with one, the other ones, the people are dead. There's no trial, just a terrible, traumatic part. Is it all officers? No. Just like not all inmates are all bad inmates, not all officers are thugs and bad officers and have this disorder or problem. But enough of them do that it certainly is that dramatic. So we have had that. Questions for these folks before we go to break? Yes, sir.
Can I address the original question to me that I didn't take time at?
Yes, there were a couple questions back there.
Yes. That's such a complex question that I'm going to try to just briefly answer it. I don't know your friend. I don't know where he works. He may be one of the fortunate ones who has coping mechanisms in place to take care of that. I will say that it depends on the facility he works at is a big factor. If he works at a maximum security, medium, minimum, or camp. As you come down the scale, we're talking maximum security, we're talking the worst of the worst. I know plenty of officers who, and to try to put it in perspective, work at a large, medium security facility. They have maybe, take an average 20 years on the job. And as they deal with situations at their facility, they are at an experience and expertise level in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases, of an officer with about 2 years at a very large maximum security prison. They have the experience, they know what to do, but have they done it over and over and over and over and over and over again? No, they've done it. They've done it several times maybe. So after 20 years, you're dealing with apples and oranges if you have an individual who's been in that kind of an atmosphere compared to an individual who's been in a maximum security atmosphere. So that
and if I can add just a couple more things to that. And this is what came to my mind immediately when you asked the question. I'll bet you if you would have asked any of my friends and family outside of corrections, if I showed any signs, you know, about stress affecting me, they'd probably told you no. Because when I was out there and I talked to my friends and family, you know, I was the gung-ho guy. I mean, you got to kind of be a gung-ho guy to be on the CERT team. And I was on the CERT team for 24 years. Ended up, when I retired, I was the lieutenant in charge. And, you know, we pepped each other up every single time. I mean, we were there. We were ready. And you keep yourself pumped. And when I was talking to my friends, they probably thought I was really, this guy is up, you know, he's great, he's got no issues. But they also didn't really know me, and that's the thing. You may not really know this guy, because he's probably hiding it.
And if you will, the smile on the face, from a smile to a frown, the smile doesn't necessarily come off the face after 25 years, but it comes off the heart. And the smile may no longer be on his heart. He may have a frown on his heart. And that's very, very dangerous to let people know that. I'm not saying he does, but in many cases, there's a smile on a correction officer's face, but he's got a frown down here.
Any other specific questions? We only have time for about 1 or 2 questions, because it's just a time factor. They're going to be around for lunch this afternoon. So, personally, you guys are hanging out for lunch, right? Yeah. So there'll be time some direct questions. But maybe I want to back, yes.
John, you should have known I was going to pipe up.
Well, imagine a correction officer
I'm a
herself.
state correction officer. I'm also a full-time professor. I do both jobs full-time. You can only imagine my stress. And honestly, if not for the professor position, I may not be able to process the correction stuff as well. It's my outlet to talk about that. It also helps that I'm married to a lieutenant. He's in the drudges with me. We bounce that off because other officers I work with, they're telling me, like you said, men are telling me, I can't talk to my wife about this. And all of a sudden, you know, red flags and oh my goodness, I don't want to talk to you about it either. But it's important to address that. Two things that came up when you were speaking, sir, is that time on the job. Do you know about how long he's been on the job?
He's doing 25 years.
That's amazing to me. My two notes when you said that were type of facility, because I work in shock incarceration.
He worked at Sing Sing.
That's amazing to me.
And now
He's an anomaly. He is, absolutely. I started at Greenhaven and I work in shock, and if I knew I had to go back to Greenhaven, I wouldn't be working in corrections today. Absolutely not. I couldn't do it. When you're in lineup and you're gulping and swallowing, not knowing which one of us is going to get it today, you're petrified. I mean, you're petrified. And you know you're at work, you're in uniform. You get all that, and you start at noon to work 3 to 11. You get all that operation on and you wear that jacket, you stand there. No one's talking about that they're afraid.
Doug, is there a question?
Everyone's afraid. I'm sorry. It's so real. I'm glad you guys do
That's
it.
what happened. Question.
Don't give me one. I'm sorry.
Maybe if you could just kind of give a broad type of answer. I have a lot of students, I teach corrections, I tell them it's great careers and everything. I do try to caution them, it's probably one of the toughest jobs in America. But what advice would you generally tell a teacher that teaches corrections to answer the questions we get all the time from students? You know, is this a good job?
Well, I guess I would be the wrong person to ask. Because I'll tell you not to do it. And that's exactly the way I feel. I've had a lot of people ask me my personal, what I think they should do. They're on the list and should they go. I've had a lot of people, and I had a big problem with telling them, you know, because you don't want to tell somebody not to do something and then, you know, something else happens and they're like, you don't want to be responsible for that. But honestly, I told every one of my kids and everybody that I knew that had kids, don't let them go into corrections.
A lot of cops say the same thing, but I'm really talking more about the, you know, the kid needs a job, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's how I needed a job.
And you know, what's a kind of a realistic way to explain it? I tell them it's a mature job, it's an adult job. I said, you're going to be dealing with people. I said, it's not easy. If you know correctional officers, talk to them, this type of thing. But I said, if you need a job, take the test and take the job. And that's a national issue.
If they don't have a desire to be in law enforcement and in corrections, if it's a fail-safe option where they're following, they were going to be a teacher, but now they're going to be a correction officer, I would encourage them not to. If they've grown up and they've always wanted to be in the public sector and wanted to be a trooper or a sheriff or a correction officer, then I would encourage them. Yeah, it's a pretty decent job. But I would start by trying to ascertain their motive and where they're coming from. If they're very mild, very quiet, very meek, very gentle person, that's not a good. It's because if they're going to survive, they're going to change. And they're going to change so that 25 years down the road, they're not going to recognize the person that started.
There's one student I had him read that book, New Jack, and he actually wanted to be a correctional officer. I felt bad once he read the book. He said, "That's it. I'm not taking the job."
Folks, part of actually what to answer to wrap this question up is what we do, education. As we have students ask us these questions, is it a good job? Well, yes, but have eyes open and know that this is something that they need to look at as they enter corrections. The gentleman back who has a friend that's been a person who's skilled himself emotionally, physically, and mentally to be able to have a good career. It is possible. There's a lot of them that do. But to be eyes open to some of these things is what we can talk to our students about when we teach them corrections, like any job. Let's give the gentleman a big hand. Thank you.